Well, thank you, Mo, for helping me with my project.
Sure.
Maybe we could start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I began my career in real estate in probably about 31 years ago, and I certainly love what I do, and I just get up every day to continue to try to be as successful as I possibly can and make the most of it.
And you pretty much cover all of New Hampshire, or is there a particular place you'd like to focus on?
Well, I'm licensed in New Hampshire, but I prefer the southern New Hampshire corridor because the northern New Hampshire is a little harder to get to, as well as meaning harder to get to, it's just longer to get to, and it's only so many hours in the day. So I primarily just stay focused pretty much from the 93 corridor down to the Massachusetts border, all the way up to Lake Winnipesaukee, which is an essential part of the state.
And how are you handling the whole COVID-19 thing? How has that affected your real estate, just out of curiosity?
Well, some home buyers and what I call, what I found is that home buyers during this COVID pretty much just hit the pause button. So that was almost immediate, where the pause button was hit by both the buyer and the seller, because there were home buyers who didn't want to go in the sellers' houses, and there were sellers who didn't want the buyers in their house. So until we get through this pandemic, it's been it's been a little bit of a challenge. My new construction stuff has stayed virtually alive from February 15th to probably about last week. We might have sold 12 new homes in that period of time. And as far as for the resale activity, that's kind of slowed up. So I was very fortunate that I've got a good balance between new construction, individual buyers, and individual sellers. So it really helps. I mean, I've been busy. I've been still working every single day, 7 days a week. So it hasn't really slowed me down any. At some point, I had some honey-do list around the house, washing the windows that needed to get done, and maybe getting a little more detail into cleaning the grout, never mind washing the floor, but getting into the grout and doing kind of like that spring hard cleanup. Also took a look around the house of some things that could get done, and reached out to some of my contractor friends who were available, and I was able to get a new deck in the house. I was able to get some additional landscaping done. So it all worked out.
That's pretty awesome. Well, I don't know if you heard about this, but NASA has been directed by Vice President Pence to get to the moon by 2024, to actually land the first woman and the next man on the moon in 2024. And I just wonder if you had heard about that.
I have heard about that. I know that there's been talk about bringing people into space as far as for a destination. And, I've read somewhere or heard somewhere, either social media or something, where I saw some of these little interesting articles about going to the moon, and, there'll be people living on the moon. So I certainly believe it. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And it looks like the wind's coming shortly.
And, out of the 150 plus interviews I've had, I would say only about 20 of them had people that knew we were going to the moon in 2024. So there's clearly some challenges with reaching a broad audience to make them aware of that. And you have to do a lot of marketing with real estate. I was wondering what kind of advice you would offer NASA in terms of how they could reach more people.
Well, certainly I would say social media, because that's where people are looking at. I remember selling real estate when I first started, and it was the thing to do. You had to be in every Sunday newspaper, bigger the better. You had to be in every publication of the colorful designated real estate magazines. And through the evolution of electronics, I hardly spend any money in newsprint, and I don't spend any money in the color real estate magazines. I truly market to, basically through the internet, through the third-party sites, the Zillows, the Realtor.com. So somebody who's looking in real estate, I kind of focus in on what are they looking at. They may not be looking at my real estate site, but they may be looking at others, and and how we collaborate that is through my MLS system that actually feeds these third-party sites, which actually amplifies my exposure. So I guess it's there's a way for analytics to find out if people are interested in space and stuff, and certainly the word, I'm sure, would spread out. You know, if you were a musician, you probably follow musicians. If you were into science and space exploration, you would follow things like that. So, and even with Facebook, you know, if I start shopping for a pair of shorts or something, the next thing you notice, I'm getting ads in my face. I should look at these shorts too. So I think that, you know, that works, and I get approached every day for, you know, my house is the same way, where, hey, if someone's looking for a house in Bedford or in Manchester or in Southern New Hampshire, you know, we've got a marketing campaign that we can plug you in, and you can turn it on when you want to spend money, turn it off when you don't. It's the same thing with Google Ads as well. You can turn it on and turn it off. Right now, is because I've been doing this business for so long, I've got a lot of, I guess, my sphere of influence. I've got a good sphere of influence that continuously sends me business, that it keeps me busy enough that I could now start turning off some of those pay sites.
That's really good. Yeah, it's the natural organic growth as opposed to having to pay for those funnels of leads and what have you. But you know, you kind of touched on something that I've been struggling with, and that is, if you express an interest in something and the algorithms notice that you're interested in, like, say, buying a house or interested in shorts, then it kind of shapes everything you see from that point onwards. And you know, it's like the news and information you're fed becomes self-reinforcing. So there's some people I've talked to, they're like, why is NASA keeping it a secret? And then there's other people I've talked to, and they're interested in space, and they're like overwhelmed and updated on it. So I was wondering if you saw any risk to that, the news being so finely fine-tuned to our interest.
Well, I mean, I haven't heard any, and in the promotion, I've only seen sporadic amounts of articles that I've seen, again, just on things I might have stumbled upon on social media or something like that. So, I mean, it's not something that I follow, because I follow real estate. But I mean, I guess if I was following, you know, having to land on the moon and actually be able to go there for the weekends or the month, no matter how, you know, I'm not sure I don't think it'd be weekend trips, but maybe someday. But you know, I guess it's the information is out there. I get approached every day, you know, hey, we can promote your real estate here, we can promote your real estate there, but I've been turning a lot of it down, because I'm at that point where, well, even if I had that extra stream coming in, I can't handle that volume of additional leads, because I'm busy trying to work with my initial sphere of influence.
Now, what do you think about us going back to the moon in 2024? Do you think that's a good use of government money, or do you think you know, it represents kind of like a missed priorities, or maybe it's something that should be picked up by the private sector? I mean, like, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, it's, you know, we're at a, you know, at a blink of an eye, so to say, of the time that we've been on the planet, and this has been around for millions and millions of years. But you know, we don't know when the Earth would become inhabitable, and you know, we can all sit here and wait for that to happen, or you know, hey, we should put some resources in to see if there's other areas that, you know, could house, you know, that could habitat, you know, human lives. So I mean, I think it's a good thing. Is eventually it'd be probably long gone after me, I'm sure. But you know, it's a good thing to kind of have if we're no longer in existence here on Earth.
And I wanted to run a couple of names by you and see if you've heard anything about them. So like Elon Musk, you know, he's known for Tesla, but he also has a space company called SpaceX.
Yeah.
I was wondering what you knew about him.
Well, he put a car out there, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah.
Putting a car out there with a dummy in the front seat. Yeah, I mean, I've certainly heard of him, and you know, I don't know, even like the owner of Virgin Virgin aircrafts. I thought that he also had some interest in perhaps doing something to the moon for transporting people. So
Yeah,
I don't know. First, to put the hotel up there, is it going to be Hilton?
I don't know, or DoubleTree, which I guess is Hilton anyway. So
right, or a DoubleTree, right? Yeah.
But yeah, Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin, he has a company called Virgin Galactic. It actually went public last year, and they're selling seats to customers who want to go on a suborbital flight. So they go beyond the atmosphere, but then they just come right back down. So that's kind of neat.
Right.
But Elon Musk's SpaceX is actually next Wednesday is launching astronauts to the International Space Station. And this would be the first time since 2011 that we've actually been launching astronauts from the US. All of the other astronauts have been launched from Russia since then. And I was wondering, do you see that as an important point? I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's important that I think the United States would, carry some sort of role in sending people into the space station or organizing something up to the moon versus letting another country kind of cooperate together. I think that we've got to still do things on our own because sometimes you can't rely on other countries.
Yeah, and he's currently also building a huge 100% reusable spacecraft in Boca Chica, Texas, which is near Brownsville, right next to Mexico. And if he's successful in that, this craft would be able to launch 100 people into space at a time and would be 100% reusable. I mean, it's like going from the single person airplane to like the 747 airplanes. I mean, I think the transition would be just phenomenal. But did you know Jeff Bezos?
That'd be huge.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, whenever you get up to those scales, it's just unbelievable. But did you know that Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, also has a space company?
No, that I didn't know. I know he's got plenty of money, so I'm sure he can afford it.
Yeah, his space company has a very interesting business model. Jeff Bezos sells $1 billion of Amazon stock a year to fund it.
Wow.
I know. But yeah. Well, if it became safe and affordable, would you have any interest in going into space?
Safe and affordable, sure, but I don't know if getting in your car, is that safe and affordable? People still get hurt, so I'm sure that there's still some sort of liability. So those are some things that I'm sure I would have a little concern of. It's like, okay, I won't be the first.
Well, and that's a good question. A good measure of safety might be how many people do it ahead of you without issue, and about how many people do you think you would need to go successfully without an incident before you would consider it safe?
Oh, I would probably say it's not a number. I think it's more like years.
Years?
Yeah, it's like buying a new car. I was looking at a new Chevy Tahoe and the new 2021s, but then more and more I thought of it. I was like, I think I'll wait till 2022. Then I'll get the bugs out of it.
That's a good point. So I guess how many years then? Are we talking about 1, 5, 10, 15, 20?
I'd say 5 to 10.
5 to 10. Okay.
Yeah. 1 to 3, not enough. 3 to 5, we're getting better. 5 to 10 is, we're in.
And you talked about living in other places besides Earth because Earth might become inhabitable. I was wondering though, if you had an optimistic view about humanity 500 years in the future, what would that look like? What would you like to see humanity become?
Well, everyone watched the Jetsons when we were growing up, and boy, that looked very interesting. Then you had Star Trek, where you can beam yourself up from the planet to the moving spaceship on a mathematical coordination. I think we're far away from that, but that'd be kind of cool.
But do you think humanity would have branched off out beyond the Earth by that point, or would
In
we still?
500 years, I would hope so.
Okay. And how far do you think we would have gone? Like the moon, Mars, moons of Jupiter, moons of Saturn? What's your,
Well, I
what
know
would be your,
further you go away from the sun, the colder it is, and the less likely you'll survive. So you've got to be able to get from point A to probably even further, into another galaxy that would have some sort of habitability. But how long would it take to get from here to there? I guess we've got to figure out how to get there faster, I guess. But you've got the speed of light. I mean, what, the sun takes 8 minutes for the Earth rays to hit,
uh-huh.
and if you need to go from Earth to another galaxy, I don't know what the nearest galaxy that may be somewhat habitable, but I don't know if it's upwards of a couple of 100 years to get there.
But like you said, it all depends on how fast you go. But
Yeah,
a few hundred years might actually be really quick. I mean, you might need to go through generations of people.
exactly. So you've got to have a system in place where someone's going to be going for a very long ride for a few generations before uh, they could get there, and I guess you got a communication on how to get there on your way. So someone's going to someone's going to provide you information. Hey, that planet's not there anymore.
And, you know, I have yet to see children that are 100% aligned with what their parents' objectives were. A lot of children are somewhat rebellious or take a different approach. And then whenever you look at children's children and what have you, it's hard to imagine a situation where a group of people start out and then their children are willing to continue on the mission, and then their
And they may
children are.
not. Yeah, and they may not. So now you're setting out a complete failure at some point of the generational, and you can't predict what they're going to do. They're going to be successful. They're going to be, the hero, so to say. Um, I don't know. A lot of factors.
Well, Mo, I really appreciate your time. Did you have any like comments in closing?
No, this is a very interesting topic. A little bit off of my real estate, but I guess things do have something in common as well. So I mean, in anything, I'm sure that there's common things that different companies shall share.
It's funny you mentioned about the real estate. I have a North Houston Space Society that I've put together, and we have monthly meetings. But I was thinking about doing a promotion sometime and get like three kind of space enthusiast realtors together and have them like, how would you list the space station, type of thing. And then you have potential space station buyers.
Yeah, that's how do you sell real estate here? Probably the same thing you'd sell up there. It's supply and demand, and if you've got one habitable place to live, it's going to have some value.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you
Yeah.
have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much.
All right. Sounds great. Good seeing you, Nathan.
Good seeing you, Mo.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep. You got it.